Okay, everybody. Today is our day 6 of the day's review. So we're in the end of the third week. We're having a mixed review today. The only thing I'm teaching you today is properties of numbers, but you do have a Mastery Connect assessment, and it includes simplifying rational expressions, radicals, factoring, imaginary number operations. Those are the complex numbers we did last class. And the only new thing I haven't showed you yet is properties of numbers. So I'm going to do that. But before I do, let me just tell you that we just got new direction yesterday about marking period 4 grades. So we have been asked to delete all of our categories. So we no longer have homework, quizzes, and tests, and now just input total points. So I'm going to go back and make every question that you've ever had to answer a total point question. So if you actually done the work and you've done it properly, you will get points for that. And again, there is no answer keys accepted. If you just set up an answer key for me with no work, you will get 0 points. I have to keep saying that because people keep trying to slip in answer keys thinking I won't notice. I do notice. So in order to pass your marking period 4 and get your SOL credit, that's called a locally awarded verified credit, for Algebra 2, you must turn in the work that is assigned in the ALP that I post every day in your Google Classroom. So for today's, you can see the warm-up and the exit ticket. And then this mixed review, these are the notes. The mixed review is a Mastery Connect. So you'll go to Mastery Connect for your class code only. This is G2's only, so please, nobody else use their code. So if you don't do it, you're going to get an incomplete for marking period 4. You will probably pass the semester with whatever your marking period 3 grade was, but you will not get verified credit, and you will go back and redo all of this work at some point or take that very long SOL. So don't think you're getting a free ride and everybody else is busting their butts. You will not get a free ride if you don't do marking period 4 work. You get no SOL credit. Please remember, I am giving live class sessions on Mondays and Wednesdays if you're green blocks, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays if you're white blocks. So if you missed the live session, I fully expect you to go back and watch the video, and I can check and see how many are watching the videos, and very few are. And I can tell because those of you who aren't watching it keep sending me in answer keys with no work, thinking she didn't say anything about work. Actually, I have multiple times in the videos and in the instructions. Let me just show you. Not acceptable if you give me an answer key. And many of you are continuing to do that thinking I don't notice. I do. Please stop. And then also some of you check the turned in box on the assignment tabs and you don't actually upload anything. Just clicking turned in is not enough for me. I can't take your word for it that you did it and it's somewhere in your house. If you don't upload it and I don't see the work, you get no credit for the points for that day. And then the last thing is please make the work your own. Please don't seek answers from other websites or other students and submit it as your own work. The whole point to marking period 4 is a student who gets this SOL credit should be able to turn around and teach another student how to do the work. And if you're copying a friend's work and somebody asks you, hey, how did you do that? And you're like, I don't know. She showed me how. Then you don't really understand it. So let's keep that in mind, guys. Let's be honest. Let's do our work. Let's do what we can. Okay, here are your properties of numbers, and I'm going to rip through all of these because they're pretty quick. Closure property just says if you start with 2 real numbers, A and B, then when you add them, you still have a real number, and when you multiply them, you still have a real number. Why can't we say division works? If A over B are both real numbers, well, what's the one number B cannot be to give you a real number? And I'll let you pause and think about that. The commutative property is if you take those same 2 real numbers, A and B, then A plus B has to equal B plus A. And for multiplication, A times B has to equal B times A. For the associative property, you usually start with a pair of parentheses somewhere in the problem, and then it shifts to other numbers on the other side of the equation. So we started with the A plus B, and we ended with the B plus C. We started with the A plus B, and we ended with the B plus C for multiplication. And you have to call out, it's the additive, the associative property of addition, or the associative property of multiplication, so you don't get the two mixed up. An identity property is when you start with some real number, and if you add 0 to it, you still have that same real number. Or if you multiply 1 by that, then you still have that same real number. And the inverse property just means if you add a number to its opposite, you'll get 0. Or if you multiply a number times its reciprocal, 1 over A is the reciprocal of A, you will get 1. So when you end with a 0 or a 1, that's the inverse property. When you add a 0 or multiply a 1, that's the identity property. It's easy to get those two mixed up. Everybody knows distributive. If you multiply something outside parentheses, you distribute them inside the parentheses and drop the parentheses. Transitive property is like a chain link fence to me. If A equals B and B equals C, then you can pull that link around and let C equal A. The trichotomy property just means for any two real numbers, there's only three things they can be. A can be less than B, A can be equal to B, or A can be greater than B. And the reflexive property is like looking in a mirror. Whatever's on one side is also on the other side. You see a reflection of yourself. The substitution property is if you know what A plus B equals, then you can substitute C in for that. And the symmetric property is just like flipping the equation on its axis. So you would take the B and put it in the A spot, the A and put it in the B spot. So there's a Kia game I want you to play, but I have no way of grading it, but I will put the link in, and then I want you to go through and click on your answers for these, I believe 15 questions, submit, check your score out and see what you know before you go and do your Mastery Connect test. This will really help you. And then this is like your Mastery Connect test. It's a drag and drop. So you start with this line, 3 plus 4 times 5 plus I. That's your given. Now, how did I go from this line to this line? Well, it's obvious. I multiply the 4 times 5 and the 4 times I, and we call that the distributive property. And then how did I go from this line to the third line? Well, it looks like I just replaced the 4i with the 20 and the 20 with the 4i. So that's the commutative property of addition. And then here I just grouped them where they weren't grouped before. Now they are grouped, so we're going to call that the associative property of addition. And here I replaced 3i plus 4i with 7i, which is its equivalent, so that's the substitution property. Okay, these are the three things that you have to do today. You have the warm-up, it's 3 questions. You have the exit ticket, it's 2 questions. And you have a 12-question common assessment in Mastery Connect. So what I'm going to do is say the points for the day are these 3 plus these 2 plus these 12, which is 17 points. So what you get correct on the Mastery Connect, plus if you show me the work on these 5, will be your points for the day. Remember, I'm no longer doing quiz and test points. It's all straight points. So every question that you answer will be a point. And you need a 63.5% correct to pass this marking period. I just want to show you what acceptable work is. So this is one person's acceptable work, and this is another person's not acceptable. You can tell he gave me an answer key. So if all I see is this, you get a 0. And I don't want to keep discussing it because you guys are not listening when I put it in the notes, I put it in the videos, and I put it in the instructions. You're still doing this. 0 credit, full credit. So please, guys, get this straight. So this is the day we're on, even though today is April 29th for me. It is the Tuesday assignment. You have a warm-up, an exit ticket, and a common assessment. Look in Google Classroom for your Mastery Connect code. That will stay open till Sunday night, and then I will put your points in. All right, that's all I have.